Self-reflection. What are my feelings about public speaking presentation prior to attending this course? Personally, I'm not much of a public speaker. I've never really liked it. So going into this course, I wasn't really sure what to expect. I just had a feeling I really was not going to like it that much. And it turned out not to be too bad at all. Did I have any public experience prior to this? Not a whole lot. I had maybe one or two times that I've had to talk in front of people. But other than that, I've been trying to keep it, you know, kind of limited as much as possible. I haven't really done too much at all. Do I feel comfortable with my communication skills? Not as much, but more than what I started out with. I can definitely tell I've had somewhat of an improvement versus when I first started. I learned quite a bit about the visual deliveries, the presentation, because with keynotes, I would just set it up with the way the slides already had it, like the presentation when we first read about it or watched the video talked about it, you just automatically just do it because it's already set up. It's simple. But I learned a lot about how I can change it and make it more interesting to the person with my visual presentations. It really helped out a lot. Was I nervous during any of them? Of course, because I'm not much of a visual speaker, not much of a speaker at all, really. So of course I was a little nervous about it. I ain't even gonna lie about that. Uh, the audience seemed to respond pretty well. I had a few criticism, which is of course good because that way you can learn from your mistakes. But overall, it seemed that everybody responded to a lot of my presentations pretty good. I offered a couple different feedback to some of them. Some of them with the way they talked, maybe the way that the background, or just different, quite just minor things that helped the presentation, help the presenter uh, be able to present their things a little bit better, that make it a little more interesting for them. I spent time practicing my speeches sometimes before I started. Not a whole lot of time, a couple minutes trying to, make sure I don't stumble over myself or make sure I got what I want to say right. Uh, but overall, I didn't spend a whole lot of time on it, but I spent time on it. I think I had two different uh, speeches or projects that I liked most. One of them was the one where I could talk about my hobbies. It made it really easy for me to talk about it, something I really know about. The other one was my presentation on the video game, the criticism of the video game. I like that one a lot because it gave me a chance to talk about something else that I like a lot. So it made it where it was easy for me to be able to complete that type of project. So I had fun doing that one. I learned a lot from the TED Talk this month. It gave you different ways to where you go about with your speeches. So you learned a lot from all the different techniques that you could use to help better your speech and stuff like that. So like if I'm at the podium, not sit there and read from a note the whole time. That way you can, to actually just speak to the audience, keep eye contact with the audience. So that way you're not just sitting there talking about, just looking at it boring. Keep the audience interested. We learned a lot from Sir Robinson and all the other people that we talked about. Some of the things with Sir Robinson I learned is, you can be serious, but at the same time have some, laughs, bring some real life scenarios into it, so that way people can relate with you. But yet they're also having a laugh, but you're also talking about something that you're really serious about, and people are getting it, but at the same time having fun with it. Some of my biggest changes, I think, is I'm not quite as nervous. So that way I can have a better presentation. I'm not stumbling as much, so that way I think that was some of the my greatest strengths is in terms of presenting is being able to talk to something that I really know about it. If I know about it, I can talk about it all the time. Like sports is some of my favorite things to talk about. So if we're talking about something that I really know about, I can just sit there and it's always on my brain, so I can always keep on going on and on and on about it. So that makes it really easy for me to do. So that's one of my biggest strengths right there. I'd probably rate my public speaking presentation this month, somewhere around 3, maybe 4. I would say when I first started, it probably would have been around a 2, but I think I improved maybe to around 3, 4, somewhere in between. So I think I did really good on that.